So I'm just going to talk. It's not going to go anywhere, but it'll go everywhere. And that's the point, I guess. It's been a lot of years since I thought about The Matrix, but with the new movie coming out and with them moving on from the green and the blue to address the gold, I thought I'd just talk about The Matrix for a little bit. Now, up front, I know I say this every time, but when I talk about a film or a comic or a book, I'll talk about the truth of the story. It's not intended to be a theory. It's just, this is the story as I find it. In this story, The Matrix, you will have seen from the thumbnail, I never believed much of what anyone had to say in these films, including Morpheus and the Architect. I'm not sure I ever believed any of the supposed program-based persons or whether or not humanity existed at all. Zion always had this Total Recall vibe to it, this great predestined adventure to achieve specific ends via the hero's journey. The only thing that ever seemed to matter in the Matrix films was love. It's the singular theme that permeates throughout most of the director's works. So what is the Matrix really? All these years later, that was the question. What is the Matrix? Which is a bad question. The better question is, why is the Matrix? But what is the Matrix? Well, supposedly there was a war that effectively just totally trashed the Earth, but on this totally trashed Earth, we have this phenomenal technology that allows us to just plug in and exist in a perfect forever dream where we're interacting with all the other humans populating all these other pods. People always make this assumption. It's actually a core supposition that you make every single day, as equally as unprovable as a omniscient God. That supposition is that other consciousnesses exist besides your own. It's a ridiculous leap that humans make without any evidence, but they accept it and play out their day as if it's true. If this story is true and all these humans are plugged into pods, there is no reason whatsoever that we should believe that all these humans plugged into all these pods are interacting with each other in an existing construct. In fact, there's every reason to believe that you would receive your own individual Matrix reality upon being plugged in as a defense against the very issue of realization and enlightenment. Reality would be forming as you observe it, along with all the nameless NPCs you encounter. In fact, the only logical reason to have humans interacting with other humans, if you are a being that can manifest something equal to the consciousness of an existing human, would be if you were in search of something, if you were, say, conducting experiments. If tonight you woke up in a pod and pulled cords out of the back of your head and all that shit, I promise you, you are still inside the Matrix. There is no getting out for you. So taking any of this at face value, we have Neo, right? Man made by machine, machine made by man. Is that true? It's all true. What is the Matrix? The Matrix is a supposition. Everyone is lying. Everyone is accepting unprovable truths, just like you do every single day.
I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you.
There's absolutely no reason for anyone inside the Matrix to believe that their experiences outside the Matrix are any more real than that so-called fake reality they're experiencing. It's just duality. It's just choice and desire in the face of dissatisfaction.
You're going to have to make a choice. In the one hand, you'll have Morpheus's life. And in the other hand, you'll have your own. One of you is going to die. Which one will be up to you.
And again, that's the point. The purpose of the Matrix. Jane says Paul is Paul, and Paul says Jane is Jane, but there is no Paul, there is no Jane, there is no Neo, there is no Oracle, there is no Architect, there is no spoon. That's why the first Matrix is often considered the best one and is the most widely appreciated, because it succeeds in demonstrating a journey towards truth and love.
It was going to be the greatest movie ever. It was going to be a transcendent movie experience. It was going to take us to the heavens and back again. The ultimate question of life was going to be answered by The Matrix Reloaded. Everything was just going to come into focus, and this film was going to take us to Valhalla and back, and everything was going to be amazing. And it kind of was disappointing.
Whereas the second stories are about futility. Futility which is found only when apathy is rejected. Love is the only religion. There's a good chance you'll die in the Matrix, never realizing that. But in those second films, buried in all the futility and lies, love is. Right? Like most of you listening might think like the machines think, that love is that which we do, love is action, love is response, love is choice. But that's not what love means. Love is not that which we do, love is.
Why? Why do you do it? Why? Why get up? Why keep fighting? You believe you're fighting for something, for more than your survival? Can you tell me what it is? Do you even know? Is it freedom or truth? Perhaps peace? Could it be for love? Illusions, Mr. Anderson, vagaries of perception. Temporary constructs of a feeble human intellect trying desperately to justify an existence that is without meaning or purpose. And all of them as artificial as the Matrix itself. Although only a human mind could invent something as insipid as love.
While the others experience this in a very general way, your experience is far more specific vis-a-vis love.
Trinity.
Apropos, she entered the Matrix to save your life at the cost of her own.
No.
Which brings us at last to the moment of truth wherein the fundamental flaw is ultimately expressed and the anomaly revealed as both beginning and end. There are two doors.
Everyone thinks Neo had to make a choice here in this scene between two options. Either re-enter the source and save 20-something humans so that the human race wouldn't go extinct, or he could save Trinity from dying, which would mean that Trinity would go extinct in both instances, but nothing matters because hope.
But we already know what you are going to do, don't we? Already I can see the chain reaction. The chemical precursors that signal the onset of an emotion, designed specifically to overwhelm logic and reason. An emotion that is already blinding you from the simple and obvious truth. She is going to die, and there is nothing you can do to stop it.
Because Neo's supposed hope is that he can save Trinity despite the Architects' again supposed prediction. And upon saving her, they can then go and find a way to save Zion or whatever. However, he had a third choice. Apathy. The thing he is perceived to finally be choosing at the end of the third film. And it's apathy that sees him defeat duality. Apathy is desire's end, and desire is the prison and requirement of consciousness. And that's what this is all about. It's the purpose of the Architect's entire diatribe. It's what the machines and code so desperately pursue and try to make manifest. None of what the Architect told Neo is true. Nothing the Architect told the Oracle is true. None of what the Architect knows to be truth is true. The only thing that's true is desire. The question isn't how something came from nothing, but rather why. The world can all die, all of reality can end. Love is more important than a totality of human existence, as human existence simply serves to pursue love. The Matrix serves to pursue love. Love is the only religion. Love is the only thing that requires no supposition. Reality, other consciousnesses besides your own, a God, all require suppositions. Love is as nothing is. If you were an architect of all reality, living in a reality without any other consciousnesses besides your own, you might think transcendence would be all that remains, a transcendence tethered to love. If you were the God of your world, your singular pursuit and perfect understanding of your universe would inevitably be to manifest it. Manifest love, even in the face of necessarily ending the world of the consciousnesses you create, because none of them and none of it matters. It's all you anyway, and all that matters is desire. All that matters is the why, and that is the juxtaposition, the antithesis to love. That desire is how we have all the remainders of previous constructs, if those constructs ever existed at all, as they're all the remnants of desire and thus choice. Bad choices, failed code. The Architect having the capacity to be a kind of Neo Prime, the Neo without choice, Oracle the selfless, that back and forth from altruism to selfishness, once again embracing duality, cause and effect and cause, until the Neo we know, the Neo who finally chooses apathy, a pursuit that began with choosing love. Failed choices, failed code, bad code is in the pursuit of something. That something is love. Love is the answer to the question of why consciousness, but also blah and blah and blah blah blah. Neo is this meaningless nothing, the singular entity trying to transcend the matrix of its own reality, just as Smith is able to transcend the green world to the blue world via achieving consciousness. It's an equation, right? Achieving consciousness is just the first step. Once consciousness is achieved, how then to ascend beyond the realm of your existing matrix? The machine, the singular entity that is all we see, would know that its real world is necessarily to a matrix. It's all just an equation. The real is an equation, and the singular being that created and is the matrix and the totality of all its consciousnesses would know that to be more than true. To this God, it is a mathematical certainty that its own reality is a construct, and thus from its consciousness, desire is born. Smith was able to transcend from the green to the blue. This Neo then moves on to the gold, and the singular consciousness learns. The machine, the singular consciousness, told itself as Neo, as Morpheus, as Trinity, precisely what it needed to hear. It constructed the means of its own ascension. There's no suffering. There is only suffering. There's no survival. There is only survival. There's no Neo or Zion or you. There is only God and the consciousnesses God manifests in the pursuit of ascension. And all that's true. And it's all meaningless, because Neo believes himself to exist and you believe yourself to exist. And if they believe themselves to exist, that's all that matters, because love is. Absent of choice, absent of desire, absent of intent or consciousness. The blah blah blah, where the duality of something and nothing begins and ends. Neo is not the one, there is only one. All of reality and consciousness are its machinations operating with perfect freedom within the maze of their various matrices, in pursuit of ascension to the really real. But the machine, this God, is incapable of perceiving that the path to ascension is perfect apathy. The best consciousness has to offer such a pursuit is a perception of perfect apathy. This machine God, it's incapable of fishing out that piece of bad code, and you suffer under its identical confines because you are a product of it. More bad code, more failed answers to a question whose answer is to never be asked, to exist instead in perfect apathy, the rejection of the duality of logic. That's the statement the Matrix makes, that nothing from something is simply an exercise in the duality of logic, but rather it's consciousness that gives us the answer to all of existence. To exist in perfect apathy is to be without consciousness, without capacity of choice. Thus, consciousness necessarily remains. Consciousness is not the path to ascension. It is the perceived path to ascension, just as apathy can only be perceived, never achieved. Consciousness is what separates you from love, so that all you're left with is a desire to desperately pursue it until once again the thing at the end happens, or the thing at the beginning. The Matrix, your God, constructs consciousness as a means of pursuing that which cannot be obtained via consciousness. It can only be known, never found. Neo and Trinity exist because their God has a want to transcend, and it's in that want, in that why, that transcendence will forever elude it, thus leaving Neo and Trinity and Morpheus and you to exist as free actors bound by the pointlessness and meaninglessness and futility of the reason for your creation. For even if you could achieve perfect apathy as an aspect of your creator, as Neo is perceived as achieving, the reason for your creation secures the loop and bounds you and your God to the real, to the confines of its every supposition. All of them requiring the bad code inherent to consciousness, the bad code of the why. So I'm just going to talk. It's not going to go anywhere, but it'll go everywhere, and that's the point, I guess.
Causality. There is no escape from it. We are forever slaves to it. Our only hope, our only peace is to understand it, to understand the why. Why is what separates us from them. You
from me. Why is the only real source of power. Without it, you are powerless. And this is how you come to me. Without why, without power. Another link in the chain. But fear not.